now we're 2 years out, and she is hot flash free and feeling a lot better. She's a lot more energy. Sleep is still good, and she's managed to transition and is doing great. Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Mackay, chiropractor and naturopathic physician, and today it's Testimonial Tuesday, and I want to talk about a case study with you of a 54-year-old woman who had previously been treated for breast cancer. She'd had a double mastectomy. She'd spent some time on tamoxifen in response to the breast cancer. Tamoxifen in and of itself puts you into a menopause-like state where it just immediately shuts down estrogen reception because its main goal is to really try and reduce the chance of estrogen-sensitive cancers to grow. So she had already been through that. She was off the tamoxifen. She had a really high-stress job and 2 teenage kids, married, and a very busy, type A, hard-working, driven person. And her world was really being turned upside down by hot flashes, insomnia, night sweats, some irritability. As you can imagine, if you're not sleeping and you're having hot flashes, you're not going to be fun to be around. And then it was also impacting her relationship with her husband. Sex was very painful, and she had a lot of vaginal dryness that was very uncomfortable, even just during her workouts, and running any sort of intense exercise would cause some discomfort in the genital region. So she first came to me, and she didn't want to do antidepressants. She had been on them at some point shortly after college and didn't want to go back on antidepressants, which are the #1 treatment usually for hot flashes and night sweats. And so we really worked together to get an herbal protocol together. We worked really with supporting her adrenals. We think of them as being your stress hormone center, but they do a lot more than that. They work to give you energy to get through the day. They're part of your fight or flight complex, that's true, but they're also part of your circadian rhythm and the hormones that work through that cycle to regulate wake and sleep. So we really work to support the adrenals, because if your ovaries are going haywire, somebody has to pick up the slack. A lot of times that's the adrenals. That's what helps push you through and keep you going, and they can get depleted and go a little wonky themselves. So we started with an adrenal complex that included ashwagandha, rhodiola. We included some leonoris, which is also called motherwort, that can be very calming and soothing. We included licorice, which is also an adrenal supporting herb, along with some sage, which can be very drying and help with the sweats. Along with that, we had her take that in nettle tea, which is very nutritive. It has a lot of minerals and nutrition in it, and it's been used as a food for centuries, and can be very nourishing along with the other herbs. Because sleep was so disrupted, we had a different blend of herbs for nighttime that included some calming and soothing herbs, along with some very gentle adrenal supporting herbs. And that included herbs like skullcap, passion flower, California poppy, schizandra, which is astringent in Chinese medicine, so sometimes it can help with night sweats, along with sage, which is also drying and helps with night sweats. The other big piece that we recommended was regular exercise. So exercise has a way of increasing your core body temperature and helping to give that information to the hypothalamus in that feedback system that regulates homeostasis. And so in some ways, exercise is a little bit like getting all your heat out at once. And there's been research to show that regular exercise, raising your core body temperature, does help reduce the frequency and intensity of hot flashes in and of itself without the herbs and other things. But it definitely had a cumulative effect for this patient. These 2 things combined, which is a very simple formulation, but tailored specifically to her and her needs, that alone reduced her hot flashes to by at least 90%. And then ultimately, we did opt to do a very low dose of local estrogen cream for the vaginal dryness. So this helped her significantly in terms of being able to engage in intercourse without pain or difficulty or discomfort, and to be able to enjoy connecting with her husband again. All of these things combined led her through the transition to menopause, and she was able to have more energy and get back on track. And so now we're 2 years out, and she is hot flash free and feeling a lot better. She's a lot more energy. Sleep is still good. She does still take the tincture for sleep, but she doesn't need the hot flash tincture for the daytime anymore. And she's managed to transition and is doing great. So this is one case of many that I've seen of women going through menopause and having some difficulty with the transition. I chose this case to talk to you about because it's a little more complicated because of her history of breast cancer, but just know that wherever you are, we have a lot of different options to help you through this transition so that you don't have to suffer through it to get to the other side. If you have any questions, let me know.